run away with you. You're my first love. You're my first love. You're my first love. You're my first love.
Hello and welcome to coverage of round 14 of the FSR World Trophy Championship live from the Yas Marina circuit. I'm James Tucker. Joining me today in the commentary booth is Lewis McGlade. How's it going, Lewis?
It's going well. Just hoping my internet will hold out for the race, because this one could be a good one. You know, I've always liked the track that we're at today. We're at Abu Dhabi, the Yas Marina circuit. 21 turns that we have. And it's a really interesting circuit to me. I mean, I know a lot of people who really don't like this circuit, but you know, I really like the variety between the three sectors. You know, you've got a lot in there and a lot that the driver has to adapt to whilst throwing a lap together around here. And you know, in the first part of quali, the person who's doing that best at the moment is Alvaro Torres, who's won a good few races this year and is definitely going for that title. And you know, Alvaro Torres just keeps coming back every single race and looks really good. Doesn't matter how much the track is different to the previous, he always looks strong. And it's a shame that, you know, I missed last time out with internet problems back in Singapore. But I know he won the race. He's looking increasingly strong as the championship's gone on. You know, he's not even in here for the entire season. So, you know, things are looking on the up for Alvaro Torres in his championship charge.
Yeah, it's so close in the World Trophy this year because there's 5 different drivers at this point who can still win the championship. Although Ben Tusting has a bit of a gap, about 32 points, I would say, to second place Franz Schneider. It's still all up for grabs. If he has a bad race, then he can, of course, wrap up the championship today if he just gets 5 points ahead of Franz Schneider, whoever ends the day in second place. But I doubt that will happen with the pace of everybody else, and it could go right down to the final race with still 3 or 4 guys still in the race for the championship, which is quite exciting. We're in the Q1 session at the moment, I believe. Like you say, Torres is currently on pole, Tusting is in second place. Remember, in Q1, none of these times actually matter. It's just about getting into the top 10 and doing your one-time lap. Daniel Kiss is in 3rd, Albert's in 4th, Leitner is in 5th, Kevin Siggy in 6th, Guerrero in 7th, Franz Schneider is down in 8th, so that's not what he needs right now, and Alkmaar in 9th, Jonathan Holmes is in 10th.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll see a bit of chopping and changing for the people in the top 10. You usually do at this point in the session, and we've got 20 seconds left. You've got people out on their hot laps, on their fastest hot laps. I mean, from what I've had is when you're not in a hot lap session, where, you know, a hot lap session is where you do one flying lap. Apologies for the plane that's flying over as well. I'll hand over to you for just a second.
Yeah, I was just going to comment on... nice plane. Yeah, I was just going to comment on what you said about the track, because me and Scott were having a discussion about this yesterday, and I think there's quite a big difference, really, between this track in real life and this track in FSR, because it's the sort of track, it's designed by Herman Tilke, it's a Tilkedrome, you could say. It's the sort of track that's built with overtaking in mind. But for whatever reason, that just doesn't translate to real life. Mainly, I think, because of the dirty air in sections, the first sector, which means it's very hard to actually follow. And so by the time you get to the long straight between turn 7 and turn 8, and again the long straight down to turn 11, you're not actually close enough to pass. I think that's probably the reason. But that doesn't really seem to translate over to sim racing. So we had a fantastic race in the World Series yesterday. If you missed it, then you can check it out still on YouTube. And I think we're probably in for another great race today, especially with these drivers. We know how they go at it, hammer and tongs every time. And I think we can look forward to actually a pretty good race on this Abu Dhabi circuit, despite what everybody kind of has that preconception about this track, that you can't pass here and that it's boring, because I think it really translates well into sim racing.
Yeah, no, I actually completely agree. I've done my bit of sim racing on this track. I've done a couple of races here. The thing is that is absolutely the case, and I don't understand what it is. It's the same with tracks like Valencia and even like South Korea. Some of the best sim races that I've seen have been at South Korea, and it's kind of like they're designed with overtaking, and yet in real life they don't deliver. But in sim racing, it's like almost every race we've done at these tracks just absolutely delivers. We've got some really great talents out there who are showing themselves and moving their way through the field. We've seen it quite a few times this year in the World Trophy, where I think even the second race, which was one that was unfortunately not broadcast, I think it was Marco Zippoli who'd won from the back of the grid.
You know what my theory is?
What's your theory?
My theory is that they're too easy for the F1 drivers. Which means that they basically qualify where they should be. And of course, in motor racing, if everybody qualifies where they should be, the fastest at the front, the slowest at the back, then basically all that happens is that the fastest guys will take off and the slowest guys will go behind. Yeah,
that is the case. And the 10 moving on now, whilst we quickly move on into actual qualifying, the 10 that moves on into qualifying 2 will be Alvaro Torres, who got P1, followed by Ben Tusting, which if Ben Tusting really wants to stay in the championship lead, he needs to be about second. So, Ben Tusting is looking to keep that position. He's got 30-point buffer, but that can disappear very quickly, especially with someone with the pace of Alvaro Torres. Then in second place, you've got Ben Tusting, followed by Daniel Kiss, who's been doing kind of a bit, I wouldn't say inconsistent, but he's sometimes really quick and then sometimes isn't. But obviously, first pole sitter of the year, he's taken a win. I think it was back in Germany, so Daniel Kiss is one to look for. Then you got Mark Alberts, Norbert Leitner, Kevin Siggy, Fernando Guerrero, Franz Schneider, Jonathan Holmes, and Adrian Falcon. So that is the 10 that will be moving on into your Q2 session, and where we're about to decide what's going to happen for pole position.
Yeah, an interesting Q1 session there. I think the pole is probably still up for grabs because, of course, you only get one time back in these FSR Q2 sessions, so it's not a given that Alvaro Torres is going to be able to get all those laps together and get the pole. So earlier in this Q1 session, it was in fact Ben Tusting on pole.
Yeah, and obviously the way Q2 works is that we have one single lap. The drivers will they technically have 3 laps they can do. They have an out lap, a round lap, and an in lap. The in lap generally is ended with an escape back to the garage. But to head out onto qualifying, I'm not really sure who's out onto track at the moment. I see that Kevin Siggy is. Is anyone in front of him? Not to what I can see. Actually, Norbert Lehner seems to be the person who's leading the charge out on track. So, as I said, one flying lap, one lap to get it all right. And on a track like this, with the 3 different sectors, you got the first sector where you have turn 3, a very high speed right-hander. It absolutely destroys the front left of the car, and you got a couple of other corners like that. And then you got sector 2, which is it's kind of like that. It's built up with the straight that kind of ends sector 1. Then you've got another straight in there with a slight turn, slight kink of turn 10, and then you've got your sector 3, which is all a bit slower. It's a bit more compact, twisty, turny stuff. So it's an interesting circuit, and to get it all right in a 1 lap session is not going to be easy.
Yeah, looking at Franz Schneider, this is not what he needs right now, considering that he's in second place. He starts today in second place in the championship. At the moment, he's only going for 8th. I've been told that I might be having a few microphone problems, so apologies for that. I'm trying hard to fix it, but as I was saying, Franz Schneider, he needs a better qualifying right now if he's going to stay in that championship hunt going into Brazil, which is the final race of the season.
Yeah, I mean, we've got so much to play for, so many different outcomes, and I will keep everyone up to date with what's happening in the championship, roughly with the leaders in the championship hunt, because that's really interesting. I really like this championship for it. It's becoming increasingly interesting as the races have gone on. We've, I've said this all the time about this season, is that out of all of the seasons that we're doing in FSR, this one just constantly, to me, looks interesting. You've got the World Series, which actually looks really interesting as well, the World Championship. Unfortunately not, although we have had quite a few good races, and I will also point out that Lee Morris is returning. I know he was supposed to return back in Canada, but he will be returning hopefully today, later today for Ash Racing. I will be talking to him about that later on, because he's a good friend of mine. He's speaking quite a bit outside, and from what I'm seeing, Norbert is on his lap and heading down towards turn 11, 12 and 13, and I remember having my front wing taken off at this sector. That really got me going. I guess I'm really out of shape. A bit of squidgy bum time there for Norbert on his fastest lap. And then heading down into this sector, it's a tricky one, is the call that Norbert's just gone through there. You know, it's a very easy one to screw up, especially with locking the front left. Gets very close to the wall. They've moved that wall in so that you can't really go over the white line, which is a good thing to see. Because I remember a lot of people going over that white line where I was sim racing, and across the line, Norbert Lehner is going to do a 139.595, also behind. He gets beaten by Franz Schneider, who's done a 139.512. So things pretty close between those two. It's just what Alvaro Torres can do to change things up.
Yeah, what I was thinking while watching that lap is it's a bit like the World Series yesterday, except perhaps even further. These guys really do abuse the track limits. For instance, down into turn 11, a lot of people go all the way over that curb on entry and brake right on it in order to get the maximum speed through turn 11, 12, 13. Also, exiting the turn 7 hairpin, a lot of people go right wide on the exit of that one, right onto the AstroTurf. And also through the chicane, the chicane right before that hairpin, we see a lot of guys just, all the chicanes in fact on the track, we see a lot of guys just ricochet over the big curbs that they're using.
Yeah, I mean, that's where you're gaining a lot of time on this track, is by going over, abusing the track limits. And that's the thing with FSR, which I'll get onto in a minute, with the amount they can abuse track limits. I was saying about this in Singapore in the World Series that I wasn't too happy with it, but Daniel Kiss has gone fastest on 138.975, and the thing is here is that you'll see it a lot in the World Championship, probably even more in the World Championship, is how much they're abusing the track, is that the curb is classified as track limit here. So, you know, they're allowed to go over that curb as long as they keep two wheels on it. Apologies, but as long as they keep two wheels on it. So that's where just the little bits of time is on the is when you're going over the curb, just slightly, but not too much. And that's where Alvaro Torres is looking to be gaining his time. He's actually just behind his teammate Fernando Guerrero, who's down to 8 and 9, and it's going to be an interesting qualifying session just to see who's on pole. I just think Alvaro Torres is going to do it. Let's have a look. As I'm looking at it now, Ben Tusting has got the fastest second sector, and actually he was pretty much the same as Alvaro Torres through the first. So Ben Tusting's actually looking really good for this pole at the moment. And where is he at the moment? Ben Tusting, sorry, as he has actually set his lap. I didn't realise. Because of live time and things like that, it's a little bit behind, wound and wobbly. Ben Tusting has gone P2 on a 39.078. Let's have a look who's coming around the final couple of sectors. Got Fernando Guerrero, who's currently in P8, but is heading up to the final. Okay, so he's binned his lap. I think he may have gone off track slightly and has decided to call it quits. So Fernando Guerrero is not going to have his time set. Alvaro Torres, though, rounding the final turn, is going to cross the line, gets a little bit too far over the curb. He's going to cross the line, P3. He's behind Ben Tusting. That's really interesting. And I think that's it for qualifying. As Jonathan Holmes is not going to set his time, so when that's all said and done, Daniel Kiss Is your man on pole? And I'm not sure if James is ready to be spoken to yet with the slight mic troubles. I mean, I'm fully aware he sounds like a Decepticon at the moment.
Apparently, I sound like a Decepticon, so that's not good. I'm not sure what to do really, because this is like you said, your internet before we started broadcasting was quite unpredictable. And I have to say mine is too. This just happens sometimes. It's worse when I'm trying to play an online game because then it's basically impossible. But yes, I generally just have to wait it out, I'm afraid.
Oh, it's all right. I don't mind talking to a Decepticon. It's fine with me. It just might freak some people out. That's fine. But yes, it's
I'm
nice.
not sure what people think. Listening to a Decepticon isn't.
Decepticon in the broadcast. But you know, we've got our interesting championship lined up, and I think what's really the surprise in that for me is not the Daniel Kistic pole, it's the fact that Alvaro Torres was third. That is the surprise to me, is that he's it's only by a tenth that he's dropped down to third position, but you know, it's an interesting thing to see that he's in third. And apparently we've had James disconnect from the chat. So whilst we try and sort out these problems, we're going to go to our sponsor video. This one is from Thrustmasters. So here's our title video. Alright, hello everyone and welcome back. That was the sponsor video from Thrustmasters, and we're back in Abu Dhabi, where I'll flick through the qualifying once we get underway. We're still trying to sort out James's mic, because it's Maybe we should go after some voice work for that Decepticon. Yeah, you're very convincing. But we are currently in the warm-up session prior to the race. We've got 7 minutes of this left to go, and Daniel Kiss obviously sitting his car on pole position, which is very, very good for him. And I'm just going to have a quick look to see where he did win a race. I know I'm absolutely confident he won a race, and let's have a look. It was in Germany. That was a good guess. And actually, he won in Italy as well. Of course he did. So he's won 2 races this year, and he's generally kind of, I wouldn't say inconsistent in the races either, because I mean he's had a couple of poles this year and obviously a couple of race wins. But you know, looking in the race, I think he'll be one to look at. He'll be definitely going for the win. He'll be up there with the pace of your Ben Tustings and your Alvaro Torres, who I think those are going to be the 2 prime ones that are going to be battling for the lead. Along with Kiss, you can't deny that pace from Kiss at the moment. So I think it's going to be, you have a good 3-way fight for the lead. It's all going to be about those lot for the moment. I mean, races around this track unfold very quickly, and it's always a bit odd to see what happens to who and who goes where. So I think we've got a real treat in stock, and currently the times will be pretty far down. You're looking at Daniel Kiss is on a 1:44.8. That's because they've loaded it up with race fuel, which apparently is it's about 200 litres or something like that around this track at the moment. So a lot of weight in that car that's going to be powering them through 42 laps this afternoon, and even more than that later on this evening. So we've got some weighty cars out there, and hopefully a very good race to come.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm sorry if I still sound like a Decepticon. We're trying all sorts of settings here frantically during that sponsor video, and none of it has worked, unfortunately. Looking to the warm-up, trying to do the best job I can on commentary. Daniel Kiss, yeah, he's, as you say, he's setting the fastest time, but you can't really read into that, because lots of people try to do just get a feel for how the car will feel in a few minutes' time in the race during the warm-up session. They just want to kind of get into that groove of driving a heavier car, fuel on board.
Yeah, it's so very important to get a feel for that car. When I've done my sim racing, you generally have it where you've got a qualifying session followed by a warm-up followed by a race, and that's so that in a qualifying session, you're running the car on its lowest fuel, yeah. And then you move on to the race, and then you're running the car on its highest fuel that it's going to be. So you can't just go straight from one to the other. You need basically a benchmark, and that's what this warm-up session is being treated as, is a way for the drivers to get a feel back for the car. The cars feel very different between those two weights of the car. Maybe it's sometimes unsettles the balance of the car. Sometimes it actually helps. I mean, I've had that before, especially with these cars back in Singapore. I just had a little quick drive with them, and I found that the cars, for me, in the setup that I was using, they were better balanced on the full fuel. It's very interesting when things work like that. It just wasn't as oversteery and things like that. So, that's something that the drivers do, is between the sessions. I mean, we are 14 rounds through this season. We're in the 14th round now. So, it doesn't matter how far you are through the season. It's always necessary to get back into the routine of a heavy car in the warm-up session, to use the actual warm-up session. If you just sit in the garage, then you might find out in the race that you're going to be spinning around in circles. Oh, sorry about that. I was focusing on other things, asking about launch control and all that. Currently, though, the leader of the warm-up session is Daniel Kiss. Is actually heading back out onto track with 2 minutes and 28 seconds remaining, and he is the leader of it. I never really count these warm-up sessions to really mean for anything. It's, as I said, it's just for the drivers to get a feel for the cars and how they're being treated with the weight is very important, it's very key, and thankfully it's an excellent time for the sun to come out and completely glare over who's where right over the positions. So that's going to be fun. Also, when I go through the qualifying grid, it'll be always good fun to see how much I absolutely muller some people's names, like Mihalo, who I every time it's just I feel so bad. It's either him or it's Milan, and I just can't. I always mess up their second names, and today will be no different. Trust me. Medanukis, though, he is currently P1 by 0.045 of a second over Adrian Falcon, so pretty close between those lot, and I wonder if we'll have a nice close race, as opposed to seeing what we've seen. We don't necessarily see it in the World Trophy, really, when one driver just runs away with it, unless it's Alvaro Torres. He's done it quite a few times this season, but most of the time we have a nice little duel for the lead, and it's always something interesting to watch with the strategy-wise, and with only 2 rounds to go, people aren't, the people lower down the championship aren't really thinking too highly of anyone. It's just like, let's impress, and sometimes it's just impress or nothing really, and might as well push for it, because what have you got to lose? And the other thing, like with the way the World Trophy works with its points and things like that, we've discussed it a lot with loads of these newer drivers. I mean, I've know my friend Mike Bell, who's currently last, as he does. He's not usually that slow, I will point that out, but I've explained to him so much that it's all about finishing the race. Obviously, you can't really score decent points unless you've finished the race, and finishing it, you get 10 points, no matter where you've finished, at least, as long as you've finished 75%. Also, there's quite a lot of discussion going on between some of the drivers, and apparently the director is asking for a couple of minutes to get everything sorted. As there's 26 people in the game. People are asking about there's too many people, which is absolutely not the case. I think it's probably just some people joking about, so we're fine. But we're still in a water session. We're just going to figure some things out and then get back to what's going on.
Not sure how my mic is now. Is it any better?
Still sound like a Decepticon, James. It's fine. We'll make do through the race, and we'll live long and prosper and things, and stuff, and others.
You were trying to come up with a Decepticon line there, weren't you? And you failed.
Yeah, that is as always the case for me. It's just like, it's either a really funny joke or just complete failure, and most of the time it's just complete failure.
I think my role in this commentary session probably have limited to every now and again and coming up with a funny quote which will throw you off course. Yes.
This will amuse me. Well, at least I've got someone in the booth, so that's always good. People don't have to put up with my boring voice for 2 bloody hours.
It is hard. People don't get that. It is hard to commentate just by yourself.
It's so hard to commentate solo. It is really difficult.
Even if there's just another guy in the server that you're talking to, it makes you feel better. Just to know that someone's kind of listening and could talk if they wanted to. I don't know. It's in your head, but that's how it is.
Well, I just tend to go through like a broadcast. When I think it was back in Italy, I did the World Trophy and the World Series solo. I was just thinking, God, are there seriously people still watching this? Because I'm really boring.
That's exactly how you feel, right?
Hopefully, some of the racing on track has been a bit more interesting. Which I'm actually pretty confident that some of the on track action is more interesting. And that's what's keeping people here, and it's not just my voice, which is really good. Currently, obviously, no time set because we're in a reset warm-up session. Apparently, Ben Tusting's done 5 laps, which is very impressive considering he's not set a time. Obviously, that's trying to get a feel for the car and then escaping back to garage and then playing about with things and explaining much. It's so weird sometimes when you hop in the car with heavy fuel, and it feels so much more unbalanced than what you remember it being, if that makes sense. You know, it's just when you've done the low fuel runs and pushing as hard as you can to when you've jumped into a heavy car that you can't really push in, because that's something that I've found with these cars, is that you can push 99%. It's that 1% that only a few people can do. That extra 1% that when anyone else pushes for that 1%, they'll spin, they'll crash, they'll mess up or something like that. But it's those ones that can control that, like, you know, in here you've got Tusting, who's been doing it for a long time. He's been super consistent this season and still hasn't won a race. Your Alvaro Torres, if you look in the World Championship, you know, to compare it to those, you've got Bono Huis, who wrapped up his 4th Drivers' Championship in Singapore. They can push that extra percent that no one else can, and that is where the wins are, is on that percent. You know, anything from abusing track limits as much as you possibly can and things like that, that's where that extra percent is that no one else can quite find. And it's always interesting to see where that happens and who can push that 1%. But I think we're about to move over into the race, and obviously to the formation lap.
I'm getting more involved in the chat than I am in the commentary at the moment. That's how bad it is. I'm being ranted at by someone who doesn't like my Decepticon voice. I've been discriminated against.
What's wrong with this Decepticon voice? Yeah, tell me that. Well, it's all right. This will be a lovely, interesting broadcast, as it usually is. We never have such a simplistic broadcast. It's always, especially with it's just the World Trophy. I think it's just there's always something which makes things really, really complicated.
There's a curse on the World Trophy. There's a curse on because we commentated together on the World Series last time out in Singapore, and that went fine. I commentated with Scott on the World Series, and that went fine.
Yeah,
it's just the World Trophy.
Well, just the World Trophy. But just think of it this way: is that if my internet decides to go, nope, not doing this anymore, and then disconnects, it'll be someone with a Decepticon voice, and that's all you've got, people. Sorry. But I will make my way back and find other ways to commentate, so it shan't all be over. But nevertheless, we are on the formation lap of the 14th round of the season, and leading us around is the person who took pole position first time out, Daniel Kiss. I always remind people of that fact because it was quite an impressive pole position that I never expected, so well done to him. He leads the way here from Ben Tusting, your championship leader, leading by 31 points over Fran Schneider. And then Alvaro Torres, the person who really is going for this championship. He's got an absolute charge on him at the moment. He is in 3rd position. Alongside him is Franz Schneider, who is the person in 2nd in the championship, so he's obviously still going for it. And this is the thing with this championship, it's just completely open for any of these people. Norbert Laitner in 5th position, did a good job there. And Mark Albert's behind, who's won a few races this season. It's kind of been a bit not really inconsistent. I keep saying not really inconsistent. I really shouldn't, because some drivers have been inconsistent, and I'm not being fair. He's not really one of them, though, because, like, well, I suppose, okay, fine, yeah. He's kind of been there and then hasn't, and then hasn't, and then has, and then hasn't. Behind him, Kevin Siggy, 7th position, followed by Fernando Guerrero. That's the 2 positive sim racers in the top 10. Sorry, there's 3 of them, because there's Alvaro Torres a few positions in front, so GG on that one, Lewis. Jono Holmes is in 9th position. And just behind him is Alari Augpus. And then behind them in 11th position is Adrian Falcon, who I swear was higher than that, but nevertheless. No, that was in the warm-up session, that's why. Renz Klopp is in 12th, James Sadler in 13th, and the person who I absolutely muddle the name, so I apologise, I'm not going to say a second name, because I respect you as a driver too much. You're much faster than I am. That's Mihalo. I was just about to have a go then. Gabriel is in 15th position alongside Leonardo de Souza, and apparently Gabriel bumped Mihalo, so that's interesting. But then Chris Knight is in 17th position alongside Ron Squire, who makes his way into Grid 1 once again, and then Mike Bell is in 19th position, making his debut this time out. Alasayo Campus is in 20th, Rando Tam is in 21st, and then Paul Burnt is in 22nd. I think that's the entire grid, so that's the grid for us today, and I think someone just hit the ball in the background, but nevertheless, we're about to get ready and get underway for 42 laps here in Abu Dhabi. Here comes the lights. There's the second, the third, the fourth, and the fifth. And we're lights out and away we go for the penultimate round of the season. We see a couple of people in the background going a bit sideways, but Daniel Kiss currently leads. Franz Schneider is on the attack of Ben Tusting, who's moved up. Actually, Franz Schneider's moved up into third position, so excellent job there from him. Alvaro Torres down into fifth. Ben Tusting keeps his second position and is now going for the lead on the outside. Oh, there's a bit of contact there and Franz Schneider is off. Daniel Kiss currently leads. Mark Alberts now leads. Mark Alberts moves his way straight up to the lead through turn 3. And Daniel Kiss in second position is now defending from Ben Tusting, who is... there's a bit of a crash in the background between... I think that was one of the Crown 7 net Rexes. And you see the two positive sim racing cars of Kevin Siggy and Alvaro Torres going side by side. And Alvaro Torres is down into fifth position once again. So he's dropped actually quite a few positions, with Franz Schneider also going off, who I don't know if he's still in the race. We've got a couple of drivers in the background once again. And Alvaro Torres is attacking his way through T8 and T9. Moves his way up into fourth and is now going to attack Ben Tusting. These two are championship rivals, don't forget. Mark Alberts leads by 0.8 of a second over Daniel Kiss, our pole man, dropping back one position. Let's have a look as Kevin Siggy once again attacks his sort of kind of something teammate. And Alvaro Torres keeps his fourth position, however, has gone slightly wide. There's contact, and Kevin Siggy is slightly round. He's had a crash with Albus as well in the background, so that is him. Look at Jono Holmes, he's up into fifth position, and he's going to be on the attack down into the really tight section as the start of Sector 3. Apologies, couldn't remember the turn, so I had to make it up as I go along, but he's looking pretty quick at the moment. Franz Schneider is out of the server, so after such an impressive start and almost moved himself up into the lead, Franz Schneider is out of the race. I remember when he overtook me, actually it was on Tuesday he overtook me, 1.9 seconds is Mark Albert's lead at the moment, and your current top 10 is Alberts, Kiss, Tusting, Torres, Holmes, who is really trying to attack for that fifth position, Sadler. James Sadler is up into sixth. Kevin Siggy drops down into seventh position. Probably got a bit of front left even suspension damage on that car after a knock with Augpus. Then Renz Klopp is in eighth position, and Alceo Augpus ninth. Gabriel moved himself down up actually into 10th position. So that is what happened. Ron Squire's in the top 15. GG. GG to Ron Squire. It's all about keeping it on track.
It's such a shame for Franz Schneider, isn't it? Because he made such a start, which would have been perfect. Challenge to the championship, and then he crashed. Real shame.
That is a real shame indeed. He's looking really good. Just think of it, if that hadn't have happened, then it might have been a Ghost Speed 1-2 at the moment. It's been a long while since we've seen that. And obviously, those two were once really quite strong. I remember them both leading a 1-2 in Monaco before, I think it was Franz Schneider who went off back then. But 2.3 seconds is the gap between the lead. And so Alberts is really putting his hammer down. I actually said to Mike earlier when Alberts joined the server that he's one that really needs to pull his finger out and absolutely go for it, because he should be challenging for wins. And this is exactly what he needs to do, is put himself in the lead of the race. 2.7 seconds. He's gapping Daniel Kiss pretty quickly. Our pole man is being dropped like a stone. And Ben Tusting is not actually coming under attack from Alvaro Torres. This is interesting. This is very good for him in the championship. Of Alvaro Torres is what I would call his main championship rival, the one who's been on top form. Also, I've been told that Leighton has spun in the background. He's down in 18th position. He's just been overtaken down to 19th. Oh, wow, he really nearly hit Knight there. I think he's going into the pits. Has damage on that car. And so, an interesting opening couple of laps, and 2.6 is the gap between the lead. Between Alberts and Kiss. And also, that's what I've been told, that Leighton has lost his front wing, and that's what I couldn't actually see that. It did not show on my screen that he'd lost his front wing. Also, I think I just saw someone crash out in the background, but I did not. It's just my game not liking people in the background. So, let's have a look at Alvaro Torres, because, there you go, Jono Holmes has dropped off the back of Alvaro Torres by quite a considerable margin, a good few tenths. So, a good few tenths is actually pretty much the thick part of a second, maybe even a second and a half, that he's dropped off the back of Alvaro Torres, and is now going to come under attack by James Sadler. He's gone a bit too deep into turn 11, nearly spun it, and now Kevin Siggy is going to move his way past. Maybe is he? Nope. He's already been fully aware of trying to make a move into turn 14, and is not going to try. However, he's coming under attack from Ren's Klopp, who gets the move done way before the braking zone. Excellent move from Ren's Klopp there to make his way up into 7th position. Kevin Siggy kind of dropping back through the field after having an unfortunate meeting with his teammate. Well, kind of sort of teammate thing with Alvaro Torres. And that's also with James Sadler dropping back a bit. That's given Jono Holmes a nice little bit of breathing space, and it's nice to see Jono up into in the top 10, and nice and comfortably there as well. Yeah, Ren's Klopp there is in the middle of Siggy and Sadler, and Klopp is he's looking pretty quick earlier on in the race, and apparently he was nearly making a pass on the outside of T1, so that would explain why he's just looking a bit racy. And through this sector here, this is the thing with these straights, is when you're in the slipstream of the car, you don't need DRS or anything like that. You will close up to the back of the car. The straight is so long, and then you've obviously got the straight with the turn 10 kink in it between 9 and 11. Yeah, it's a deadly sector as those. But Sadler's gone wide again. He's gone deep again. So that was going to be close if he'd have come back on track and hit Klopp. But he's looking like he's having a couple of braking issues back there. Maybe it's just not too used to the weight. I don't know how much testing he did in the warm-up session, but Sadler's not looking too strong. And if I was Siggy, I'd be really watching out for that, because you're never going to be too comfortable with someone behind you who's not too keen on the brakes. This is interesting. Tusting and Kiss, P2 and P3. Tusting has really closed in that gap. All Kiss looks like he's actually dropped off the lead a lot in comparison. That's what I mean by that, is it looks like he's made a mistake and has dropped way off the lead, as Daniel Kiss, and is going to come under attack from Ben Tusting. As I've said about Ben Tusting again and again and again, is that he's yet to win a race this season. He won in Silverstone, but he's yet to win a race this season, so that'll be something which needs to keep an eye on, is the battle between P2 and P3. Already though, speaking of how well Jono Holmes is doing, he's gone wide a little bit at T1 but keeps it under control, is that he is now 10 seconds off the lead already, and we've only completed 4 laps of this race, and that is an impressive speed to be dropping off the lead. An impressive speed indeed.
It just shows the kind of gap between these really top drivers in the World Trophy that are probably going to move on to bigger things in FSR, and the guys who are kind of regular World Trophy drivers at their level. It shows that there's a big difference in that Ben Tusting, Franz Schneider, who was here, Daniel Kiss, they're all very talented drivers who will probably go on to do big things.
Yeah, I mean, I would completely agree. This is the thing, is that I'm taking part in a touring car league in a couple of days, and it's when you take part in a league like this, or in any real league in sim racing, you'll realise that there's such a gap in a field, and this is only with a 22 car field that you've got a huge gap. I mean, this field that I'm taking part in is 40 cars big, and you've got so much separation in the field, and there's always someone to be fighting with. That was one of the things that I came into sim racing, was something that someone said to me, was that there's always someone to be fighting with, no matter how poor of a day you're doing, that you're having. There's always someone who is there with you, and it's been the case most of the time. Usually you're not alone in having your poor days. Alvaro Torres, they're going quite wide indeed at the penultimate turn 20, going quite deep indeed. I don't know if his brakes are working okay, but obviously we've seen a couple of people not working so well, and I'm going to be interested to see who's going to make the pit stop first. Obviously this is really early to be bringing up tyre strategies and all that, but we always take a guess and hope for the best, because we can't really see what tyres everyone is on. But as I said, there's no tyre rule in this. It's you've got 2 tyres, the mediums and the softs, the hards and softs even. Watch too much F1. But it's the hards and the softs, and you're allowed to use whatever you want. If you think you can pull a one-stop strategy doing the hard, then you're open to it, go for it. But remember, there's no refueling as well, so tyre wear changes throughout the race, and things become more and more interesting as we go on, and that's why I quite like some of the strategy in the World Trophy, because There's no, it's kind of open rules. Do what you will, bending to this. The big rule is no refueling, and that makes things just interesting. The gap between the lead, 2.974 seconds as they cross the first sector. And apparently Torres cut the, may it look like he cut the chicane, as in, I'm going to assume that means the 8-9 chicane, the one before turn 10, between the two big straights. So that's always interesting. Could be having brake issues. This is one of the things of this track, is with such large braking zones, we could be having some lovely difficulties with braking. Apparently, I'm being told oh, wow, it's Fernando Guerrero missing his rear wing. I'm just going to have a little flick back and see what happened there. Oh, I'm getting a lot of lag on Fernando Guerrero. And then down to the braking zone, Mihalo went into the back of him and spun him out, but there was a lot of lag on that one for me. But Fernando Guerrero, who did, I think, get himself into the top 10 in qualifying, is not out of the race, just missing a rear wing, which... don't know if you've ever driven a car like this. Rear wing equals very important.
Eros Musculi, I think it was, yesterday, did a whole 2 laps without a wheel, because he did perhaps the most crazy thing I've ever seen while commentating on SimRacing. He came into the pit, he broke his wheel, so he only had 3 wheels. He came into the pits, but instead of replacing his wheel, he instead did his stop and go penalty.
Wow.
I mean, what? It was just ridiculous.
Which one's more important? Obviously, I mean, when it comes to that, is that you don't generally have a choice; it picks for you. But that would have been entering the pit lane and dropping in your pit box, and then oh no, come on, really? You're going to make me do this instead? Can I not pit, please?
He finished about 4 or 5 laps down, I think, in the end, which isn't surprising considering he
the
drove 2
lack
laps
of
without a
wheel.
wheel.
Yes, that's not going to be a comfortable few laps. Is missing a wheel, which I will also point out, wheel equals more important than rear wing. And Alberts did a 1:46 on the last lap, and his gap, the gap between Alberts and Kiss, is 2.3 seconds. I have noticed that Alberts is lapping a bit slower than he really needs to. Let's have a look at the laps. He's done a 46.1 and then he did a 44.9 on that lap, which in comparison to Kiss's last lap was a 45.1, so he's dropped a couple of tenths on the last lap. But the gap between the lead, not over. Remember, Alberts does know how to win a race. It's not the first time that he's been in the position to do so, and where else has he won? He won in Monaco, so that's quite impressive, and I don't know if he actually won after that. He did not, and apparently I'm being told about P7s, that's always a good one, is Siggy and Klopp. Kevin Siggy, obviously, I think Kevin Siggy had a bit of an unfortunate start to the race when it came to inviting himself to a duel between his teammate, and his teammate saying, no, bye. But Kevin Siggy in 7th position on the back of Klopp, looking to get past. And it's always hard to overtake. I mean, we say that it's a bit easy to overtake, but what I've seen him doing, especially into the braking zones, apparently he doesn't have the straight line speed, is that he gets over the curbs. Now, you're obviously allowed to use the curbs, it's just when braking on the curbs, when turning into a corner, your car's like, I fancy going straight here. And you end up going straight, especially down to this section here. If you get onto the curbs on the outside, you most likely lock up your fronts and then just go pretty much straight on. Which is a good job, but some of the barriers are a little bit far away. It looks like he clonked that barrier. And Alberts is into the pits on lap 9. And Daniel Kiss then leads the field around in front of Ben Tusting. And Alvaro Torres is now in a podium position. Let's have a look where Mark Alberts is going to come out after a little jump on the exit of the pit lane. He's currently in P7, so he's going to be coming out in a duel and behind Siggy and Klopp. Is he going to be in front of Sadler? Yes, he will. Sadler is only coming through T2 at the moment, and he's got a nice little gap between himself and and Siggy in front. And yes, indeed, Alberts must have been on the softs for that opening stint, and now he's got the tyres already. He's got to really force his way up through this field at the moment and push his way past, basically, because he's not come out in the best position. If he's on the harder of the tyres at the moment, this is probably going to be quite a long stint for him. And if everyone else started on the harder of the two tyres, then unfortunately I don't think this race is going to go too excellently for him. It's all about everyone else's strategy. Back to Siggy and Klopp. Siggy is apparently hitting his speed limit at 310 km/h, which is not enough when it comes to battling Klopp. However, close through that sector, and in Sector 2 he's looking pretty strong. Oh, I also saw that, that was Gabriel and Mihalo who have switched positions, I believe, which means that Gabriel is... Actually, no, they're still the same way round they were last time, whereas Alberts... Where are you, Alberts? There you are. So he's already passed Siggy. So Alberts passes Siggy and moves himself up into the top 6, which is not very good for Siggy, because that's going to push him right off the back of Ren's Klopp. And at this present moment in time, it looks like Alberts, who is his teammate, DNF'd a lot earlier on in the race, around the first lap. It looks like Alberts will be getting past Klopp. Possibly. Oh, God, close up really, really quick then. But he's going to pass Klopp down the straight, which is actually the best place you want to be overtaking. And we've been told that he might be on the softs. And if that is the case, he'll be going soft, hard, which is a two-stop strategy, and it's all about what everyone else is doing that will play into his favour. Has anyone else pitted? No, they have not, I do not think. Alberts, though, is on the inside. What happened there?
Looks like he was very, very careful there, wasn't he, on him?
Yeah, really careful. Doesn't make too much sense there why he was so careful on the brakes, but this time... Oh, he went a bit too deep there, but has got on his way past Ren's Klopp. And it's not looking like he's too in control of that car at the moment. It's kind of going a bit slidey on him. Gap between the lead, 1.1 seconds, so we don't have to worry about anything there for the moment. This is what we're focusing on now as Mark Alberts, is to see how quickly he can move his way through the field. And in the background, you've got Siggy and Klopp once again going at it. And in front of that, you've got Jonathan Holmes, who's a couple of seconds forwards, so that'll be who Mark Alberts is battling with next. Klopp's gone a little bit wide over T21 and heading down towards the line. Siggy is just going to try and move his way through, but there's no room on that side. There's no speed that he's got, no advantage that he has at the moment over Klopp, so just needs to keep it there and hope for the best, really, unfortunately. And once again, he's just this. I don't think he's going to get a move done down here, but I'm moving back to Alberts with Holmes. Is Alberts going to make his way past now? I don't think he's got the speed, or he's really cautious into the braking zone last time. And Alberts not quite close enough, but maybe heading down into T12, T11, T12, and T13. He'll try and make a move. He's going to flick to the outside. He does indeed. So Holmes is definitely going defensive, but he did not have the grip off the previous turn. Alberts, though, has gone deep and has car crossed the chicane, which is obviously giving the position back to Holmes, and may have to sit there for a little while indeed. Tusting is dropping back into the clutches of Alvaro Torres at the moment. There's 1.2 between them, and that's changed a little bit over the last couple of laps. So we'll have to keep an eye on those as well. The top 10 as it stands is Daniel Kiss, your current leader, followed by Tusting, Torres, Holmes, who is completely under attack by Mark Alberts. Then you've got Ren's Klopp, Kevin Siggy, Alessio Campos, Yo Gabriel, and Leonardo de Souza, as Alberts is going to try and make a move on the outside, heading down towards T1. Alberts brakes late. Alberts goes deep, but not too deep. Holmes gives him enough room by quite a country mile, and they're going to go side by side through 2, not through 3, as Albert's kind of cut that corner a little bit. And is now going to come under attack from Holmes down into 4. And Albert's there. Moves himself up a position indeed, which this has all moved Holmes back into the clutches of Klopp and Siggy. So, it's not over between those lot. They're heading up to lap Ron Squire, who's currently the last of the runners. And he was in the foreground of that shot. And you've got those 4 all within a couple of seconds. Speaking of people within a couple of seconds, Alvaro Torres now within 9/10 of Ben Tusting, and only a couple of seconds off the lead. There's Alvaro Torres at the moment, so once again going really strong at this part of the race. And Ben Tusting, not so much. I will also point this out that for the lead, I've discussed this a lot, is that Ben Tusting has basically the ability with Torres to drop about 15 points to 20 points a race. Obviously you don't really want to do it, you only really want to drop 10, but Tusting's got a strong position in this championship. I'm not really sure where Kiss is, and I will actually go and have a look, but he's in a strong position in this championship I don't think he's not going to be leaving here as the champion. I really don't think he'll be leaving here as the champion, but he's in a really, really strong place to go to Brazil and have a comfortable, a good comfortable race. I mean, if he finishes in the position that he is now, speaking of comfortable races, I think he'd only have to finish it to score the 10 points and beat Torres. Obviously Torres is not the only target. I will go and find out where Kiss is in the championship once I've finished with this, because it looks like Kiss has dropped back an awful lot there through the first sector. And there is Mike Bell, also who's about to be lapped. Alvaro Torres is getting right in that slipstream the gap as they've crossed the first sector. It did drop an awful lot. I thought it did. Daniel Kiss now within 0.8 of a second, and also we're getting some stuff down in P7 between Klopp. Oh wow, this is a bit of a mess for position as Klopp is trying to get past Holmes. Siggy is trying to get to Klopp. Klopp though wants the top 5, and is Holmes going to let him have it? I do not think so at all. Holmes places himself on the inside of 8. And then Siggy's going to try and get under attack. Alvaro Torres not passed into P2 at the moment, and they have all passed Mike Bell. And also, I'm being told very quickly as I flick back to Holmes, who Klopp is past Holmes now. Klopp is past Holmes down into that one has been down into T11. Holmes not looking too comfortable in these tyres as Siggy is now going to try and make a move. Here we go. Is he going to do it on the inside? Brakes really late, but does not get it done. He went to the outside, and Holmes went pretty defensive. Only had one retirement, which was Franz Schneider, which is always speaking nice and highly of the World Trophy field. And this will be really irritating Siggy now, because he really wants that position off Klopp and had the pace to keep up with, but not the pace to get past. And two huge differences between those paces. There's in the background I saw Alessio Campos getting a bit wibbly wobbly. I think that was, or was it? No, it wasn't. So it must have been Mike Bell in the background, the lap car, getting a bit wibbly wobbly. Actually, Mike Bell's been into the pits. Interesting. So that'll be an interesting thing to find out what happened with that. Probably just obviously tyres and things like that. So we'll keep an eye on that and adjust accordingly. Kevin Siggy though is going to try and push his way up past Jonathan Holmes and move himself into the top 6 and hopefully go after Klopp. God, my names are getting all wibbly wobbly. Also, something that I just completely negated because James is trying to be really useful. And the current championship is Tusting is on 308, Schneider 276, Kiss 272, and Torres 271, Alberts 267. And also apparently I'm being shouted at with Siggy. Yes, I am indeed. Siggy onto the outside. Oh, wow, Holmes did not. They're going side by side now through 12 and 13. But Siggy, as they're getting really, really close. Siggy, I don't think Siggy's too comfortable around turn 14, obviously with the incident earlier on with Alvaro Torres. And breaking down. Oh, it's getting close. And it's not sorted. It's not sorted. We're keeping going. Siggy stays 7th. Oh god, there's the battle for the lead. Alvaro Torres is 2/10 off of the back of Ben Tusting. And once again through turn 3, look at how close he is. Alvaro Torres has got really the comfort zone in this car, and he's going to brake on the inside, but is not going to get the move done. We've got quite a bit of combat going on throughout the field. Holmes looks like he's secured Siggy for a little bit. Tusting, not the same way with Torres, and I'm going to ride on board with him just a quick second and see what the speeds are of these cars, because I think Alvaro Torres is going to go to the inside now. Yes, he will. He picks the inside line, but Ben Tusting just has a nice lot of straight line speed. Daniel Kiss has gone deep as well at 8. So these are all really, really closing up now that their tyres may be going off a little bit. Torres seems to be controlling that the best. Your top 3, all within a second of each other. Tusting to the inside for 2, for trying to get for P1. And Torres, right, so Torres cuts that corner, which is, yep, he is going to give that position back. He just didn't really want to go side by side through 11, 12 and 13. And I don't blame you. We've seen it happen very badly before in Formula 1. And I've had a spinner in the middle of that corner, and not good fun indeed. I spun in the middle of that corner, not good fun indeed. And Torres not wanting that to happen, not taking any risks. 1.4 now between your leaders. And let's have a look back to Siggy and Holmes. They're not really too close at the moment, so that looks like it seems to have settled down, and we're just going to keep an eye on Torres for now.
Just a quick word on the championship as it runs at the moment, which is all very close and looking to change, of course. Tusting would be leading by 308 points, 348 points, sorry, because there's plus 40 points for second place. Kiss would be his second closest on 322, Torres on 301, Albert's on 292. So there would still be 3 guys in the championship hunt if it finishes like this.
Yeah, and as going along with that, Schneider is out of the championship charge, as he has 276 points as it stands, and so with things moving on as they do stand, looks like he's pretty much out of the championship, so thank you for that. And it's always nice to have someone doing a live championship stuff, because that's always really good for a penultimate round, is to have championship stuff. Wow, look at that for Torres. He got really out of shape coming out of 9. That was definitely a squidgy bum time. May have put him into the wall, however, he's done it a few times. Just kept it under control, and keeps his P3 and keep his car out of the barrier. So that is really, really important for him to do. I wonder if we have any questions in the comment section. That's always a good one. You could go check out, James, as well. Because I don't think we're having too many position changes, and I'm not sure how long people are going to be in the pits for, because. And the reason why I bring this up is because Mark Alberts is 13.1 seconds off of the lead, and I'm interested to see what everyone else's strategy is going to be, because if they're going on the harder tyres to halfway through the race and then they're going to go on harder tyres again, well, they've not gone halfway through the race, or at least Kiss hasn't indeed, because he has entered the pit lane. It's just about whether people are going to be 2-stopping or 1-stopping or 3-stopping or whatever. Kiss, though, into the pits. Is in P3. He has dropped the position to Alberts now, and apparently Kiss overshot his box, which is not very good, and that's cost him quite a bit of time. However, it looks like he is going to come out in front of Renz Klopp. He is indeed, only just though, so he's out in front of Renz Klopp and is behind Chris Knight, who he needs to lap, which is fine. Whoa, that was a bit squidgy. That is fine. He's past Chris Knight, who's gotten cleanly out of the way. And Siggy, once again, trying to fight his way past Jonathan Holmes. It's just, no matter what he's doing, he just doesn't have the straight line speed to make the move done in the easiest position, which the easiest place to make a move is down into turn 8, which he just doesn't have the speed to do, which is unfortunate of him. Just when a man gets into that situation, it's sometimes the silly moves that happen. Cost everyone pretty much everything in the race. And Mark Alberts, though, did actually move himself. I will bring it up. Did move himself back up into P3, so he also has a 3-second buffer to Kits. So it's pretty good there for Alberts. It's all about what tyres they were on, though. And that is the important thing, because I think Alberts is going to be pitting again, which is always an important thing to be looking at. And whilst talking of people pitting, Ben Tusting is the next one to jump into the pits to hand over the lead to Alvaro Torres for the first time this race. And Alvaro Torres there, who's won the last 2 rounds. Ben Tusting's already finished his stop already, so that was pretty quick. It's all about where Mark Alberts is in comparison. Just passing, but they're going to be side by side up the hill. I think Tusting actually may have this, I don't know. Through turn 2, it's going to be close, but I think Alberts is actually through. Alberts is through indeed. Actually by quite a little bit of a way. It's Kiss. The sort of kind of teammates thing here. Tusting is in front of Kiss now, so that works out well for Tusting. And if this is the battle for the lead, it's where Alvaro is going to play into this as well. Is Alberts a part of this battle for the lead? I think he might be. It's all about what tyres he's been on though. It's all about that. But Tusting, big thing here is that Tusting has jumped Kiss, which is quite big for the championship when you consider that Kiss was taking 10 points out of that, and now he's going to be losing an extra 10, dependent on where they all finish. Don't you just love it when strategy gets involved? Anyway, your gap between the lead is like 12 seconds, so it's not really too important. At the moment, I'm thinking Alvaro may pick this lap, unless he's just going to really push these tyres halfway and then make the most. Is he going to jump into the pits? He is not indeed, so he stays out. And also from what I saw, he actually gapped Mark Alberts half a second through the second sector. And speaking of which, there's contact there between Tusting and Alberts has spun. So Tusting there getting into a little bit of a kerfuffle, and that's going to cost him a bit of time. And not only that, he might have damage on the car. I'm not really sure whose fault that was. The quick shot that I saw of that, I think Alberts may have come across. I'm just going to do a quick replay. Yeah, I think Alberts just came across too much, unfortunately there. But this has moved Tusting into being under attack completely now from Daniel Kiss. Be interesting to see how that one actually plays out between Tusting and Alberts. Alberts has retired from the race. We've had the 2 retirements being both the go speeds. No one else is out of the race. And the field is a bit closer than I thought it would be. 1/10 the gap between Ben Tusting and the lead went down. Actually, no, it wasn't 1/10. It was half. It was 6/10 of a second even. So 6/10 of a second was it between them and the first sector. So it's now 12.9 between the lead, and is Alvaro going to pick this lap? Also, from what I've been told, is with Mark Alberts DNFing now, that means that unfortunately the previous race leader is out of the championship hunt, which is a big shame. We're now down to, I think, 3 men. And then there was 3. And then there was 3 indeed, and those 3 are your leaders. Alvaro Torres, who is coming into the pits this lap. Ben Tusting, who is in the championship lead, and what may turn out to be the race lead. I think it will be the race lead. There's only 12 seconds between Tusting and Alvaro Torres through the second sector, so Tusting looking pretty strong for this race lead, as Torres is only just pitting. So Tusting is taking the race lead and is looking in a really strong position to go for the win, unless the man behind him can stop him, and that is Daniel Kiss, and then Alvaro Torres. Oh, this race is very, very far from over, and don't you just get that feeling that for a penultimate round, this is really setting us up nicely for Interlagos?
Yeah, that is exactly the feeling you get, and the championship is like a pendulum right now, swinging one way and the other, and those top 3, those are the 3 that are going to be competing for the championship in Interlagos. It's fantastically set up.
We love these beautifully set up championships, and Tusting, Ben is in a really, really good place to take the championship. The only problem is Interlagos. Of course, we don't have anything like RFE or any weather plugin to make things a bit wet and interesting, but there's something about that track. It's the nature of the track. Whether it's just because it's the final race of the season. It doesn't matter whether it's wet or dry. It's always an interesting race. That blows everything wide open. I mean, obviously it was wet last year in Formula 1, but, you had a few mistakes from some of the drivers, obviously with Seb being spun down towards turn 4. There, you've got so much going on at that track, so much to do in a lap, that it's the perfect place to settle a championship, I think. And as a penultimate round, I actually really like Abu Dhabi, because it's quite a nice penultimate round. Is Abu Dhabi. You've got quite a lot that goes on at this track, and as we're seeing, it may sometimes be a little bit boring in F1, but here it is not. 1.4 is the gap between the leaders. I just saw the Ron Squire had pitted. Oh yes, 1.4, the gap between the lead of Tusting and Kiss, and apparently we've been told that Tusting is lapping very quickly, so he might be on the softs. I'd kind of say, in consideration to the pace that Kiss is keeping up with Tusting, is that Kiss is probably on the softs as well. But is Alvaro Torres? Let's have a look. What are the last laps there? 42.1 for Kiss, and it's obviously because he's just come out of the pits at 57, so that's not really of much use. But 6.4 is Alvaro's gap off the lead, and it's whether he's on the softs as well. And apparently we're just jumping straight down to P14, because why not? We've actually got 3 drivers who are actually pretty close to each other, and Falcon had contact with those 2. Right, okay, so that's why Adrian Falcon is behind those. Maybe we'll jump back to this because there's a name I can't pronounce. So Mihalo is in 15th position, is looking to get past Gabriel. We had pretty poor traction off of turn 14, around 15, 16 and down into 17. Nice and under braking there. These two are all these 3, good counting, Lewis, good counting. These 3 are all looking pretty close and pretty snappy for a position. And also, as I've just been told, is that as it stands, Ben Tusty will have a 46-point lead over Kiss, which would mean Torres is also out of the championship. So that is interesting. And it's pretty good, looking pretty good for Tusting to not as I said, I don't think he'll wrap it up today, but that is looking really, really strong. Also, I've been told that Kevin Siggy is in some clean air, so that means that Klopp has pitted, and I believe he has indeed. So Siggy into the clean air that he always wanted. That he now finally has. He's trying to make the most of it. Jonathan Holmes is in P6 behind those lot, and considering he's running with the top 5, he's slightly dropped off of it a bit, as Jono, but he's still quite strongly and securely in the top 10. Which is excellent for him. And it's also, I just think the excellent thing that we've got at the moment is that we've only had 2 DNFs. That's absolutely excellent for the penultimate round of the season. And as I said, we're setting ourselves up for an excellent Interlagos. And maybe not so much if that is the case with the points wise. So maybe we could do with a bit of shuffling. Maybe Kiss, you go on and win this race, and Ben, drop down to 3rd or something. Although what I will say with that is that I think Ben does deserve a win this year. He's struggled a little bit, and I think he definitely deserves it. Also, jumping back down into P15. And it is the closest fight on track as Mihalo enters the pits, and Adrian Falcon actually moved past. Apologise for not noticing that. And now I think Adrian Falcon's got the better pace of the lot, and is now going to move his way up and away as the Falcon would fly. So apologies for that. I think we should get some comments and questions if we've not got too much breathing room. Where's the closest duel? I think that was the closest duel, and it's all pretty much over. Anyone behind in the lapped positions?
There's a lot of requests to show Alari Alpers. He's got a big fan base, it would appear, in chat.
Where is
7th at the moment.
He is 7th at the moment. So there we go. The big fans of Alari Alpers as Alpers actually enters the pits. Good job for shouting us onto that one.
Apparently he had a crash earlier, and that's why he's running. So apparently he'd be a better higher if he didn't have that crash.
Yeah, very well. very well. Well, he is racing for Twister, and I know that they pick out some pretty damn good drivers to Twister. And lines himself up in that box just so he can exit the pit lane pretty quickly as he does. It's quite an awkward one, the end of the pit lane here. And heads down through the completely unnecessary underground section, but we shall not get onto that. All I will say, better than career. So that's always a good thing. At least they drop you on the outside of a corner as opposed to, the pit entry being on the inside of a very high speed. That's an interesting DNF. That's Alvaro Torres out of the race.
And then there was two. What happened? I think it's just a DC. He just... I would assume a disconnection or just really getting bored. Why not? I've always had that feeling whilst doing a drive. It's kind of like, oh, God, I really just can't bother to do this anymore. But I'd assume a disconnection, which means Alvaro Torres is out of the race. Wow, things just getting really exciting here in Abu Dhabi. And some people said this track's boring. Well, what do you know? Here we are then with the lead. 1.670 seconds between Tusting and Kiss. Absolutely clear of the rest of the field. Ren's Klopp 31 seconds off the lead, so he's 30 seconds down on Daniel Kiss. These two are the two strong competitors this afternoon. Or technically, as you would notice from the lighting of the race, it is the evening now in Abu Dhabi. We're currently in night time. But that is absolutely huge for the championship. I also noticed that Ron Squire is out of the race. So we've now got 4 DNFs. That's a real shame for Ron because he really needs to finish these races. Or at least, get to 3/4 or something. And there we go. We've got our 4 retirements now, which leave us to just 18 runners. Oh. Not Ron Squire.
Not Ron Squire. We want close duels? Well, I can give you a close duel. P3 and P4, the battle for the last place on the podium. Not that I thought it would be. I think this one's going to be quite an interesting one for the rest of the race, but Ren's Klopp is going to come under heavy, heavy fire now from Jonathan Holmes, who I said couldn't drop back. He was in P6 when I last spotted him, and is now fighting for a podium. And wouldn't it be excellent if he came home on that podium position? Heading down into turn 17, this is a kind of overtaking opportunity. But, you can only really chuck it in there if you're going quite slowly. Which is why I'm really good at chucking it in there, because everyone I race around, not that everyone I race around is slowly, it's just that, I'm slow enough to be racing around the slow people. That's kind of insulting my competitors, really, but, God, I'm that kind of guy. What can I say? Heading down to T1, is Jonathan Holmes going to make a move on the outside or the inside or even at all? It's the even at all option that he has selected. And I think, did someone pit? No, someone did not pit. And here's Jonathan Holmes. Okay, he's looking like he's a lot faster in that car, a lot more comfortable in that car, and considering that Ben Tusting and Daniel Kiss are so far in front, there's a kind of a new little bit that you can win, is the best of the rest trophy, which is never a trophy that anyone really likes to have, is the best of the rest, because it's kind of like, oh well, I've just done a bit, meh. When I would say that anyone who gets the best of the rest trophy has not done a bit meh, they've done fantastically. It's just where these aliens of Kiss and Tusting have got their pace from, well, who knows. The current gap between the lead, 1.4 seconds. The current gap between Klopp and Holmes, 0.4 of a second. So the top 4 pretty close in different battles. Would be a way to look at it. And I'm wondering when Ben and when Daniel are going to pit. And could this be the first win of the season for Ben Tusting? And now we've been told that Ben has forgot to change his helmet for this round. I remember that, seeing that back in Bahrain, where I was in Bahrain. I think it was actually round off. I was in China where we first noticed it. That I was told that he changed his helmet every round. Just that he changes the quote on the top. And let's see what it is this round. Not that I probably would understand, because I missed last time, and he usually changes dependent on the race previous. Okay. Yeah, wouldn't know. Peterface. Right, okay. GG. I'm going to assume something to do with Burlack, maybe. However, going for P3 once again, he's close, but he does not quite have the cigar in his mouth at the moment. Is Holmes, but he wants that podium position, so he might want that cigar. Wouldn't know, not really much of a smoker myself. Also, whilst I'm on it, the gap between the lead 1.1 seconds, and oh wow, I think they'd been off a little bit after T13, but my computer's getting a bit laggy, so I will not look at that. We don't want to be. I don't want to disconnect in the middle of this. This is excellent. Gap between the lead through the second sector split, half a second between the two of them. It's fantastic. It looked like he just went a little bit wide at 13 and has cost himself a bit of time.
Holmes is at the inside. No, nearly. Sorry.
Yes, no, yes, there was contact. There was contact indeed. Good shout. And Holmes there is going to remain in his P4. There was a bit of contact there between himself and Klopp, which is probably going to knock the car a little bit. It's amazing to flick to from Klopp to Ben, fantastic, and then just kind of go, cool, it's a completely different part of the track. What part of the track's that? Oh, right, it's there. Okay, right. Jeez, that's a long way around, isn't it? This is pretty much the closest duel on track at the moment, I believe. It doesn't look like anyone else is quite this close.
We need a split screen between the battle.
We need a split screen. We need a split screen. See Daniel Kiss again, half a second as heading down into the braking zone. Tell you what, you keep an eye on Klopp and Holmes, and I'll keep an eye on Tusting and Kiss. And you shout at me, you shout all over me when those two are really close.
In my Decepticon voice.
In your Decepticon, well, it's fine. I don't mind a shouty Decepticon. Still probably better than Transformers 2, so that's fine. But yes, we're having two very nice close duels. It would be nice if you did them at two different intervals in the race. But it's always good to have the top four being in their own two little duels and being very close to each other. The big question, though, is when are they going to pick? 'Cause I'm absolutely confident they'll be pitting again, because we've been told that Tusting and Kiss look like they're on the soft tyres, and these two, they're going to be probably pitting again. Tusting looking like the tyres are going a bit on the rear. And
I'm still on the outside into turn number 11.
Oh, he's gone the cutback. What a move. What a move was that.
And
that was
Klopp goes
excellent.
deep there, and Holmes is past.
That was an excellent move.
Klopp just outbraked himself by the looks of things, and Holmes managed to pick him off quite successfully. So if he gets a podium today, that'll be a fantastic result for him. A good friend of mine.
Yeah, he just basically positioned himself. I had a couple of conversations with Jono whilst in the chats of various live streams. A nice guy, of course, and that was a well-placed move. He knew where he wanted to put the car, and this kind of freaked Klopp out a bit, went a bit too deep on the brakes. Holmes, knowing it, not going to put his car in harm's way, turns in at the last moment, gets the move done, and moves himself up into a podium position, which is absolutely fantastic for the penultimate round of the season. Tusting, though, still leads Kiss. And it is, yes, I've just been told, it is effectively a Twister 1-2-3 with three different teams. You've got Haxball, obviously leading away, Twister, as in the Twister, the legit Twister, and a Botto. So that's always a fun thing to point out. Yes, fantastic for Haxball, obviously looking for that title. And you got to think of it this way, is that if Kiss drops back even a position now obviously that position is 35 seconds down the road, but if he drops back even a position, then the championship will be Tusting's today. Which is, that's an interesting thing to point out, isn't it? But as we've noticed in World Trophies, things can very, very quickly sway from one side of the bridge to the other. And to be honest, in World Trophy, it normally does.
World Trophy is certainly the most unpredictable of all of FSR's series. I'm sure nobody would doubt that.
No, and I think going into Lagos, the one where we've had so many unpredictable races, what can we expect there? Klopp isn't looking like he's finished with Holmes at the moment. He's not dropped off too far, and there is about 0.8 of a second, 0.7 of a second between the two of them. So I don't think Klopp is finished with that. 0.8 of a second is your gap between the lead and I think we're breathing down just to have a little calm down session. You know, sit me and James aside, just have a little breather, and calm down. So yeah. Yep, it looks like that way because we've got obviously 9/10 now between the lead. Oh, hang on. That is something that I've just noticed, is Klopp on the back of Holmes. Just as I say, oh, well, maybe we can have a little bit of a sit down and a calm down and a cup of tea. No, Klopp's like, no, focus the cameras on me. I wanna be on this broadcast. And in the background, I've noticed that Siggy is only about 5 seconds down the road. Actually, it's 4 seconds now. Nearly 3 seconds. So, Siggy is going to be looking to close that one down. I did say that Klopp was not finished with this. He's certainly not going to drop off the back of that rear wing. He wants the podium position, and these two are going to fight very, very hard for it. I've also noticed that a couple of people are in the pits. Fernando Guerrero enters the pits, and after losing his rear wing quite early on in the race, it's quite amazing that he's actually still in the top 10 technically. Holmes, though, still under attack from Klopp.
Both of these guys have never got a podium in their World Trophy career. Their best finish has been 4th. For Klopp, it was in China, and for Jono, it was in Bahrain. Excellent.
So, there's a lot riding on this between the two of them, and I could only imagine getting my first podium. It would be quite a nice experience indeed, and to get it in the penultimate round of the season is just going to make it all that bit better. Obviously, you'd want it a bit earlier on in the season, but you know, to know that you've consistently improved over the season, and to know that this season has left you with an impact, and that you've grown pace and maturity as a driver over a season's work, then you know, that really does pay off. You know, in you. You know, you're aware that going on into next season, you've got a bit of high confidence that I finished the season, you know, in the last few rounds with a podium, and they come up to a few lapping cars with lapped cars lapping them, as I think Gabriel is trying to get past Bell, and Holmes is trying to get past Gabriel, so it's just a bit of a mess of lapped cars at the moment. And Holmes seemed to have gained a slight advantage of that, and there's a bit of contact there between Gabriel and Klopp. What's Gabriel doing? What is Gabriel doing? That was really, really silly there from Gabriel. And also I've noticed that Chris Knight is out of the race with brakes. But what was Gabriel doing? I'm sorry. I'm really sorry to just like blow that one out, but that was a bit silly if I'm honest. And they're now trying to get past Holmes. Holmes is trying to get past Mihailo again. Or actually for the first time. Derp. And he's still looking strong in that P1, P3. And there's 1.3 seconds between Jonathan Holmes and Renz Klopp. 1.1 between Kiss and Tusting, so he's not missing anything between those lot. And Kevin Siggy hoping to benefit from this greatly and move himself up a few positions. Holmes is into the pits for what I'm going to assume is the final time, and maybe is he going to chance it with the softs and go quite deep? I mean, it's 12 laps. I don't know if that's doable on the softs, because you know, when it comes to this tyre strategy stuff, I just take a random guess and hope for the best.
I would say 12 laps is doable, definitely.
Yeah, 12 laps seems doable on the softs, so if he's on the softs now, this is going to be good for him. And now my attention will turn to Tusting and Kiss, and whether they will pit this lap and whether they will chance it on the softs until the end of the race, because I don't think they're just going to leave themselves out there for the rest of the race. Well, actually, have they pitted? Because the gap between the lead is like 23 seconds. They have pitted. Wow, there we go.
There's a lot of requests for people to show their battle between Alari Alpus and Alessio Campus. Having a big battle right now for 6th, and we know that people love Alari Alpus.
We all know that people love Alari Alpus, and he is attacking the rear wing. Good one for shouting that out, people watching. Good one for shouting that out. A good one for shouting that out to me, James. Good job, YouTube, for having a comment section. Alpus is going on the outside of T8, and T9 is on the inside now. And it's not going to have the move done, as Campus has a nice drive through 9, through 10. and down in towards the braking zone. Alpus looking like he's in a pretty quick car at the moment as he's going on the outside outside attacking even, and brings it across to the apex. That is a good move. It's aggressively cutting off at the apex, moves himself up into the top 6 at the moment. But yes, I'm really sorry we didn't notice that, because obviously there's not really too much that goes on between Tusting and Kiss, but both of them have pitted. Went completely under the radar from us lot because the gap hasn't changed between them.
Oh, Kiss is caught up a fair bit, actually.
Wow, yes, that is huge from Kiss. That is huge from Kiss. He's now 3/10 off of the lead, so maybe different tyres? I don't think so.
It's massive for the championship as well, because if Kiss can get past Tusting, that opens it up again for Interlagos, because at the moment, if Tusting wins this race, it'll be 46 points, which means all Tusting will have to do is finish Interlagos to win the championship.
Yep. Or even then Kiss has to win it when, you've got quite a lot of people in it. Going for pride, going for the last win of the season, you're it's going to be so important. And the last round of the season, you always want to impress for next year. I think, what you have to remember, these two kind of sort of teammates things makes things quite complicated. I'm keeping an eye on some other gaps. There's so many little gaps throughout the field. You've got obviously Campus and Alpus there now gapping each other. You've got Holmes, whereabouts is he going to start appearing now that he's got new tyres on? You've got Siggy and Klopp, they're kind of a bit gapped at the moment. The close battle though, 0.4 of a second it was through the second sector, 0.4 it is over the start finish line, is Tusting to Kiss. 10 laps to go. And who will be taking the checkered flag first? It's definitely going to be out of these two, unless they really, really destroy the car. At which point, think of it, if then Klopp and Siggy have to pit, then it could be Holmes for the win. And I'm sure he wouldn't mind that.
That is if Klopp and Siggy have to pit, because
that is.
They could try something. They could try and stay out.
Yeah.
Although you would think their tyres have pulled away quite dramatically at the end, and Holmes probably get them.
I would think that, and that's also heavily dependent on two people crashing into each other, which I have seen a duel for the lead end in tears, and end with a friend of mine taking the win. And that was a long way back in a different league, and it's always nice when something like that happens. Well, I say it's always nice when something like that happens. It's always nice when you have the unsuspecting winner and the unpredictable happen.
Alpus is into the pits.
And Alpus is into the pits. He is indeed.
I cannot stress how popular he is on the comments. Pretty much every comment is a request to look at Alpus. So let's ask the comments. Why Alpus? Why? Just a quick question. I'm sure he's a lovely chap. I'm just wondering why. Maybe it's a close friend of yours or anything like that. It's just a quick pointer. 0.8 the gap between the lead. I think it's because he's from Estonia.
Yeah,
there's a lot of Estonians in the chat.
That's always a nice thing to have. Have the home
national
support. National hero. We all love a good national hero. I mean, I think when you think of it in any kind of sport like this, if you're doing well, or sport like this, e-sport, I suppose you could technically class it as the sim racing series. When you're doing well in it and taking part in FSR means you're doing pretty damn well. I will point that out. These cars are a nightmare to drive for me. I mean, I use a controller, so that's not very useful. But they are a nightmare to drive. There's a real knack with the setup, and to have had that and to be taking part this high up is a good thing, and it shows that there's quite a lot of future potential in some of these drivers. Daniel Kiss though, 0.4 of a second off of kind of sort of teammate thing. Fantastic. It's just whether he's going to be making a move. You don't really want him to chuck a banzai move down and then crash them both out. Well, I think we had that in Monza a little while ago when we had a battle for the lead. It wasn't really a battle for the lead. They were just kind of like separated, and they both went off in the final few laps, I think it was. Although my memory is absolutely shocking, so don't hold me to that. Kiss though is looking very, very racy on the back of Ben Tusting, and of course we've said that this is key for the championship. But obviously on top of Ben's mind is that Tusting hasn't won a race this year, and it would be really odd to have won a championship where you know that at no point throughout the season were you better than everyone else to a point. You were more consistent over the whole year. You had that pace throughout the whole year, but never at one point did you have complete advantage. And I would say to some, I mean, that would be both a good feeling and a bad feeling, I think. You know, you've kind of got this thing where you've been to 15 different tracks and at no point did you have the biggest advantage, and that's kind of like, but, you know, I never took a single race win. My name was never called out as a winner of a round, and that's quite a big thing to some of these drivers. But then you've won a championship without having that advantage at any round, without having that points advantage when leaving. You've just been so consistent throughout the whole season and taken that win. You know, it's going to be mixed feelings throughout, so I know Ben is going to be really wanting this win at the moment.
It would be quite an impressive feat, but I think he'll still want that win today to really confirm himself as a worthy champion. I'm not saying he wouldn't be a worthy champion if he didn't win, because it is about scoring the most points over the rounds allotted. But I think he'll want to do it for himself today. He'll want to win a race.
Yeah, it's this thing of, you know, not... It's just, it would be really awkward, I think, to have a champion without a win. Very, very interesting, though, and it would speak, I think that would speak hugely highly of the talent of Ben Tusting, that consistency that he has. But that win is going to be so very important to him. And I am right in that, isn't it? That he has not taken a win. I'm absolutely 100% certain that he has not taken a win this season. Because I do distinctly remember him leading quite a lot of Silverstone, but then I think he pitted in the last few laps, got a drive through for speeding in the pit lane. And that cost him, unfortunately, the gap between the lead, 0.4 of a second. And I was also told that Siggy is going to be close to Klopp. And guess what? Siggy is close to Klopp. So Siggy is going to be looking for that move anytime soon. But just remember that earlier on in the race, we had Siggy behind Klopp, and nothing happened. And that's interesting from what we've been told, that Kiss is staying behind Ben. Now, obviously, these two, same team, to a point. Maybe, that's a really weird thing to be doing.
That is interesting, considering they're the only two in the championship now.
Yeah.
They're the only two who can possibly win. I think at this point they should race.
I think at this point they should race.
Yesterday in the World Series, I was being very... I was praising highly the Precision Motorsports team for Gosby staying behind Van Starkenberg and helping Van Starkenberg by slowing down Burlak in order to let Van Starkenberg have a bigger championship lead. He failed in the end because he let Burlak pass into second in the final few laps. But I thought that was a good thing to do because there was still another guy in it. But since it's only these two now in the championship, I'd be really surprised if Daniel Kiss doesn't have a go.
I will back this up with one thing. If they both take each other out, then the championship is still is painfully close going into Lagos. Of course, it's 30 points, but you know, if Ben Tusting finishes 5th, 6th, 7th, something like that, it's then you have like Alvaro Torres win. Then, you know, Torres has the championship. So, you know, you kind of you want it to be careful, but you want it... I mean, personally, these two are skill drivers. They've got a 30-second gap to the car behind, and that's huge. Let them duel. What can be lost? Let them duel.
Not only do they have that massive gap, but look at Kiss putting out down the straight.
Yeah.
Not only do they have that massive gap, but also the other three of their championship rivals will retired.
Exactly.
There's simply no way that they can be passed. There's nothing bad could come of them racing right now.
Yeah,
unless, of course, they crashed each other off.
Yeah, but
and retired.
I mean, these two are skilled drivers. These two are skilled drivers, and the thing is that, I mean, if Kiss wins this, of course, it's what I've said about Tusting, is that Tusting really wants to win this. But okay, now you look back at the broadcast, or I'm sure he's been told within that team. You know, you think about it, it's kind of like Kiss was faster. Daniel Kiss was faster. And it was only because of an order that he stayed behind, or maybe there's not even a team order here. Like maybe Daniel Kiss is like, Ben hasn't won a race yet this year, but then, Daniel's obviously going to want to go for the championship as well, so I'm not really sure if that's really the case. But, he's like, this guy hasn't won a race yet. This guy deserves to win a race.
I'm sure he could pass him.
I am absolutely confident that if Kiss wanted to pass, Kiss would have passed by now. Or if he was ordered not to. I mean, like, you look at him, he's pulling out the slipstream, he's breaking up early, he's lifting off, as we've been told. So, that's interesting. Oh, that's an interesting thing that we've just been told. Is that if Kiss and Tusting retired, Klopp would win, meaning that Klopp would be only 11 points over Ben Tusting, and that is a heavily interesting fact.
Yeah. We got it wrong at the start of the day. We said there were 5 guys in this championship. There are 6. Ren's Klopp with things going right for him. Ren's Klopp
huge
could
underdog.
still be in the championship hunt.
The huge underdog. And obviously... Oh.
And Kiss has gone really wide. Kiss just went really wide there. So perhaps he's having problems. Perhaps that's why. Perhaps he could be having brake problems or something like that.
I don't know. I know it looked sneakily suspicious to not be. But I've made accusations towards specific teams about team ordering, and they've kind of shouted at me for saying no, and I've shouted back saying yes. But that's the press to their teams, and we're all a bit horrible to each other, but it's fine. But Kiss, maybe he is nursing a problem. This will be the interesting part, though. 1.8 between them. Does Kiss close this in? And if Kiss is within a second, within the next couple of laps, then Kiss is not struggling with a problem. He could have made that move. That is something that I'll be interested in. What's it going to be as they cross the line? 2.0. So maybe it is nursing a problem. But we'll have to keep an eye on that. I'm going to keep my eye on Siggy and Klopp as well, because those two are pretty close to each other. But again, Siggy not making that move, and I don't think Siggy's got a podium either. So we've got Klopp and Siggy and Holmes closing in like a rate of knots. Obviously, with Siggy and Klopp, I don't think they've pitted again, as Holmes has. And the lap times between them, you've got Siggy, who's been doing 43.5s, okay? But the person behind, Jonathan Holmes, has been doing 41.9s and 42s. That podium slot ain't over. And with only a few seconds between them, as Holmes... Oh, jeez, that was close. God, sometimes you just want to get these back markers out of the way. Jonathan Holmes there really, really nearly being taken out of the race by Leonardo de Souza. And Adrian Falcon, who were duelling with each other and nearly crashed into Holmes, who is on an absolute charge for that podium position. 1.7 between the lead. Obviously, we don't think that that's going to be changing around position-wise. But will Jonathan Holmes be closing up and taking his first podium in the World Trophy? We've all got our fingers crossed for you, Jono. Not that there is any commentary bias. I'm happy to have anyone finish on the podium. Anyone who finishes on the podium, well deserved. And Holmes there, just looking like he's got a large pace advantage with the fresh rubber.
Yeah, certainly, but maybe it wasn't such a good decision to pit, because it's going to be very hard to trace down Ren's Klopp, isn't it? Because
also
Klopp's an extra second in front.
Yeah, well, with the pace that he's got, you kind of think that he may have the grip, he's got the speed advantage. But something else that we've not pointed out, Rando Tam's also out of the race for you Estonian lovers, is that we only have about 3 laps to go. 40, 41 and 42, we have 3 laps to go.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying
it's going to be really close.
Use those new tyres.
It's going to be really close. The gap between him... Oh, actually, did I just see Siggy? Nope, Siggy was not pulling out. Mike Bell actually enters the pits in the last few laps. I'd be interested to ask him after the race what happened. Maybe the tyres just wouldn't last that long. Jonathan Holmes, though, off the back of Siggy by 2.3 seconds. 3 laps to close it in for him, as it is now 3 laps remaining for them. 3 laps.
He's lapping it not that much faster as well, though, is he, at the moment?
No, not really.
He's got to hope that Siggy and Klopp battle each other, and that slows them down.
This was a thing that we brought up. 12 laps. Are the tyres going to last that long? And actually, I think... Oh, Siggy, yep, that is a good shout. Braking. Oh, that was close between him and Klopp. Jonathan Holmes, though, is now within a second of Siggy. No, 2 seconds, sorry. 2 seconds within between Siggy. So...
That's exactly what he wants to see. He wants to see those two battling and slowing each other down.
Yeah, exactly, because that means that he's going to close up. You can see him in the background. This is the closest duel on track at the moment, and one that I think will see its way all the way down to the checkered flag. Now, just bringing up Kiss again, because we were discussing whether he'd be in the lead of the race. If not, 0.4. He is now off for the lead. Oh, but look at that by Siggy. Oh, there's a bit of contact between the two of them, but Siggy there make a really, really late lunge down into turn 17. Is now on the outside through 18. Oh, there's a bit of contact there between 19, and that's Klopp in the wall. Klopp is now in the wall. Lost his rear wing. I think he's just going to escape. Or is he? Is he? Nope. He is keeping it back on track. But that was a bit interesting there by Siggy.
And Siggy just seemed to dump him there, didn't he? He just kept driving almost. Didn't refused to allow space
bump and run
for Rensklopp, and Rensklopp will be bitterly disappointed.
And I will be leaving that to the stewards as a commentator, as I always do. Leave it to the stewards. The stewards will decide what happens, and penalties will be decided elsewhere. Klopp is out of the race with a suspension failure after the incident with the wall. Walls and their suspension, not really fans either way. Now, will Holmes be able to close in on Siggy? This is the important thing. The gap as they pass the first sector split, 1.1 seconds. 2 laps to go. Can Holmes do it? He seemed to have a straight line speed advantage. But can he do it? Or can Holmes get his... Is this the first podium for Siggy as well? That might be something you can check out.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's right. Siggy's had an even worse year than these guys. So whatever happens, if it's Holmes or if it's Siggy, then someone's going to be happy and getting their first podium in FSR.
Also, as many of the fanboys out there, Alari Alpus now into the top 5, which is very impressive. And Jonathan Holmes, look at that. Jonathan Holmes right onto the back through turn 17. And heading into the wibbly-wobbly section as Ben Tusting has started the final lap of the race. But sorry, I'm just going to have to keep an eye on these two for a little bit. Now I don't know where to look. Excellent.
Kiss has closed the gap, hasn't he? Kiss has proven that he's the faster driver today.
Exactly. That is what I am thinking, that Kiss could have taken the win here today, and will he?
Is he in fact trying right now?
Is he in fact trying right now? I think he's trying to prove it. However, braking nice and early for turn 8.
He's been a very magnanimous teammate.
Yes, the gap between them was 0.073 over the line, over the split, so I think that's proving it. This is where I want to be looking though. Holmes and Siggy down this straight. Will Holmes, on the final lap of the race, be able to move himself after making a really, really late pit stop? Will he be able to move himself into the podium position? Siggy goes ultra, mega, super, uber defensive, but Siggy's going to be on the inside. Ooh.
You can get him now into turn 11 on the outside, though. We've seen that pass made.
Yeah.
I would be lying if I wasn't saying I'm rooting for Jono.
I don't know where to look now, because Tusting is going to start to cross the line anytime soon, but Holmes is going to go side by side down into turn 12. Turn 11 and 12, but Siggy's so late on the brakes. Holmes has done the same thing that he did earlier on in the race.
Siggy's going to cross the chicane. That will surely be illegal. Holmes is past.
Oh, hang on. We're having Tusting slow down. He's wanting to let Kiss pass to take the lead. This is a very interesting way to finish the race. But Ben Tusting...
formation finish?
Quite possibly, but Ben Tusting, either way, is going to secure himself quite heavily in the championship lead as he takes P1 here in Abu Dhabi. His first win of the season, 1/10 in front of teammate Daniel Kiss, although they were very slow over the line. But further back in the field, Jonathan Holmes, P3 behind him, Kevin Siggy, who's made a little bit of a mistake in Sector 3. Jonathan Holmes is going to cross the line for his first podium in the FSR World Trophy. Excellent drive there from Jonathan Holmes after taking it on the final lap of the race. Can't take anything away from Kevin Siggy, who puts himself into P4. Alari Alpus heading round the final few corners of the race to secure himself into the top 5, and I'm sure you Estonian fans would absolutely love that. But that's a very interesting race that we've just had, and Alari Alpus Into the top 5, Alsaio Campus, if he can get himself around the final few corners, will secure himself in 6th. The shame about Ren's Klopp there on the final couple of laps because he's just left the server, and that could have been a podium position. Such a shame there, but Alsaio Campus finishes in 6th position. Norbert Leitner comes round the corner just behind his Crown 7 Netrex teammate. Fernando Guerrero is pretty much all but secured in the 8th position. James Sadler is in 9th. Leonardo de Souza in 10th position. Then you've got Paul Byrne, who's just pulled off the track there, which is fine. But he was in 11th position.
Can I just point out the Twister 1-2-3 was restored with Jonathan Holmes making that final lap pass?
That was absolutely true. Yair Gabriel, who I had some things to say about earlier on in the race, with his ability to get out of the way of a car going faster behind. He finishes in 12th. Mihalo, who's not quite finished the line, I'll get back to him in a minute. He's in 13th position. Looks like he's going to be pretty secured in that. Ren's Klopp with the suspension damage still finishes 14th. Mike Bell on debut, the last of the finishers, in 15th position. And I'm sure I'll be talking to him about that later on. Adrian Falcon
and Larry Alpus, a fan favourite in the chat, saying, "Thank you again for ruining my race, Siggy."
Excellent. That's always something brilliant to say. But
do you know who would hate now, Estonian fan?
Yes. I think it was definitely a good drive. Now 2 races now, he says, right? So he's not very happy, and I'm sure that will go down. But anyway, the DNFs for the race. Obviously, you had Ren's Klopp, the final of the lot, as Mihalo has crossed the line. But Ren's Klopp, the final DNF, and along with him is Adrian Falcon, Brando Tam, Chris Knight, Alvaro Torres, Ron Squire, Mark Alberts, and Franz Schneider, who lost it on the first lap after taking the lead, and then, taking to the wall. However, for the first time this year, we've had Ben Tusting take the win. Excellent job there it was. And he now has a 46-point lead. I don't think he really wanted to take the win because he was really trying to give it over to Kiss. He knew Kiss was faster.
Do you not think it was a formation finish just for the
maybe,
kind of thing?
Maybe. But
we've been told by people in the chat that is Twister's plan, that Tusting would win the championship because that's just who they decided, and they were all of them were racing for Tusting today.
Very well. That's an interesting thing. So there you go. Yeah, fine. Very well. But Tustig there taking his win finally this season. Daniel Kiss there in 2nd position, already taken 2 wins this season, and Jonathan Holmes debut on the podium. So there's 2 Brits on the podium, which is always nice to see. But that has been an excellent drive and a very interesting penultimate round of the season. So going forward into Interlagos, I think we've got an absolute cracker lined up.
I think we certainly do, because now there's nothing to race for most of them. All that Tusting has to do is finish to win the championship. He'll certainly be, I think, the only one who's going to leave a bit on the table, and everyone else can just go for it. And it's been such a competitive year with so many guys all are able to win races. I reckon they'll just go for it in Interlagos, and that track as well, which is a fantastic track. It should be a real spectacle.
Yeah, I've only just done some sim racing there and wrapped that all up in a different championship. So, Interlagos, excellent track to finish off the year. And I hope we'll be seeing all of you back there, especially you big fans of Valpus. We'd like to see you back, because that's always quite interesting. But, yes, the penultimate round of the season is over, and I've been Lewis McGlade. And, we've had a lot of help, obviously. James, with you and your Decepticon voice.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, but hopefully it's better by Brazil, and hopefully it's better not just for the World Series, but also for the World Trophy. No more curse, please.
Yeah, we don't really want this this curse. Can the World Trophy curse just go away? Just go away, get out. Anyway, also thanks to Sam Jones and Jaakko Mikkonen who makes these broadcasts possible. And for one more round this season, only one more lies between Ben Tusting and his actual championship. He's not actually been crowned champion yet. But be honest, it's pretty much 100% at the moment that he will be the champion no matter what. Ben Tusting there taking...
If there was a disconnect and Daniel Kiss won the race, then Daniel Kiss would be the champion.
But would Twister allow it to happen? We've seen a lot happen, so this is going to be an interesting championship to finish off, and it's not as close as I thought going into Interlagos as it could have been. We had 5 people. 6 people, I think it was actually. 6 in the championship before this penultimate round. However, moving on into Interlagos in 2 weeks' time, we will only have 2 people in the championship, with one absolutely in a stonking lead. 46 points is the gap between the lead. And for this championship, it's all but over, as is the broadcast tonight. Thank you very much all for watching, and until next time, have a very warm goodbye.